Welcome back, everybody. This is Cody Robinson here with HOMEFIT. So I'm the president and founder of HOMEFIT Personal Training. Excited about our next Well Talk here with Emery McCharge. Emery's been a part of HOMEFIT for just over a year now in various capacities, and he's ramping up his personal trainer game as we head into 2024, and something that he and I chatted about, I think just last week, a couple of weeks ago, of a topic of specifically about really just mental health and how action, just taking any kind of action, can immediately have an impact on your mental health. And there's different layers that we'll take to that. But no, Emery, thanks for coming on here. I'd love to hear more about kind of your background and how you got into health and fitness, and what prompted us having this conversation.
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to be on. I always love just the way to tell people about fitness and health and just educate the public in general. So I'm excited to be a part of this. And I've been, like you said, already a year. It's crazy that I've been a part of HOMEFIT for a year, which is really cool. Like you said, various capacities, but love training with HOMEFIT. It's been a lot of fun being a part of that and meeting Cody. He's a very cool guy. So it's been cool partnering with you. But yeah, thank you for having me on. My training background and just in general, me getting into wellness and health, it's been a long journey. I've been probably in this field in one way or another for about 20 years or so. And the only way that I actually got into working out and training and was my youth pastor, actually. He was Mr. Louisiana back in the day, so he was a pretty built guy. But yeah, he kind of took me under his wing, and I had never worked out. Was very intimidated about the gym in general, which I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. Not going into this big old gym or not knowing anything about working out, it's intimidating. I think that's probably why a lot of people, don't start. They kind of scare themselves out of it before it even gets started. But I had a good mentor in this youth pastor, and he took me under his wing. We even did some training at his house to kind of get me started. But eventually, of course, made it to a gym and fell in love with it. Love the fact that I can just kind of sort of manipulate the body to build certain muscle groups, to lean up, to get healthier. And it was such a confidence builder for me. I think at a young age, I think I really needed that confidence boost, and it was huge for me. I mean, honestly, it changed my life. I don't know where I would be without working out, without lifting weights. And diet, of course, was huge. I actually ended up going into dietetics, and that's what I majored in at Nicholls State back in Cajun country, where I'm from. But which is quite ironic, because if you've ever been to Louisiana at all, there's not many diets or good eating there. I mean, the food's amazing, but you're not going to lose weight.
Yeah, people don't go to New Orleans to. They say they love the food, but they don't ever come back and say,
Yeah.
I love the food. Yeah.
You're coming back 10 to 15 pounds heavier. Absolutely. But yeah, so that's how I got into just that whole world of health and wellness, Cody. And it's been a fun ride.
No, it's been fun. I kind of wish we would have. I wish I'd hit record a little bit sooner, because we kind of got on our soapboxes about just the fact that people have so much tangible opportunity to really to move and to work out and actually take control of. I think you and I both, we're very intentional about our mental health. We know that this life is not easy, and there's curveballs get thrown at us, but there's so many ways about boosting your mood and how to overcome stress and anxiety and things like that. And I think it's become more and more important, for us across the board to talk about it. And I do think there's a bigger shift that continues to happen, because, there were several decades, late 1900s, that were, a lot of it was more about vanity, and in a lot of ways it was just aesthetically about how you look. And I think people are more and more now, it's like, it's really, sure, aesthetically can a lot of times can reflect, the work that you put into it, but not always. There's a lot of internal things that are going on, and that
Sure.
mental capacity, that connection to your mind and your body. And I think honestly, that's why HOMEFIT exists. I think most people that reach out to us is, they're burnt out, they're overstressed, they don't know how to fit it in, they need the accountability. It's just all these things, and it's more about quality of life, being able to get through the day or perform better, or
Yeah.
just cover better, sleep better, all these things. I guess before we start kind of hitting these bullet points, anything sticking out in general as we're kind of ramping up just this topic of action and mental health.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit it on the head as far as a lot of people I think perceive working out as a physical activity in the sense of it is a physical activity, but they only see the physical benefits of it. Maybe like you said, vanity, I think is the word you use, bigger biceps, right? Six pack abs, all these things, and these are great things that can take place because of the physical activity if you're doing it consistently and correctly, that sort of thing.
Right.
But for me, it's definitely been the neck up. I mean, just especially like you said, as you get older, you have adult things happening, right? A lot of business, a lot of work, a lot of stress, a lot of hours you're putting in. Um, and I mean, the mental clarity that you can get from working out is incredible. It's a no-brainer that people should do this. It's very simple to do. And well, obviously we'll dive into a lot of this here coming up. But yeah, the mental aspect of working out for me has been paramount. It's been huge.
Yeah. No, and I think what's hard a lot of times is, well, how do you overcome, these parameters? It's like it's one thing to do it to be preventative, try to prevent anxiety, to prevent stress, prevent burnout. But then like
Right.
how do you break through that barrier of when you hit that wall? You're like, man, now I need to work out, or now I need to start walking or whatever. And I think that's the biggest thing. And hopefully by the time we get through this this fun conversation, people at least the biggest takeaway will be it's not that difficult. Like we don't have to overcomplicate
It's not.
the movement capacity of it. I think that's something
Yeah.
that
And I think you did great with I don't want to misquote the mission statement of HomeFit, but you talk about eliminating barriers. That's a big part of why you do what you do, why we do what we do. And I think you nailed it on the head. With that phrase, just eliminating barriers.
yeah.
It's a big part of what I think needs to take place to get people to that next step in a routine, of a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, and sadly, a lot of times the barrier is ourselves. It's not it's not anything external.
Absolutely.
Which is the
A lot of
hardest
times.
battle. And I think that's why awareness, I think, is so key. A lot of us try to push things out of the way and try to blame it on other things. And when you really look in the mirror, I think you'll I think that's when a lot of forward momentum can really build, when it's like, wait a minute, I have a lot more control in this life than I allow myself,
Absolutely.
at the choice to be able to do so. And that's why we
Yeah.
encourage, a lot of people we work with they're just very honestly, they're selfless people at the end of the day. And they start feeling selfish, to try and take care of themselves. And it's like, man, you've been blessed with such a such an incredible, mind and body and capacity to help. I think my driver is like, the better I can take care of myself, the more people that I can help, take care of. And that's my driving factor. But I don't know about you.
It is, and I mean it's the one body we have. It's not something like a car where you can upgrade every 4 years or a new house. This is it, man. So I mean, you really have to put in the work. I think you were talking about preventative.
Yeah.
I think that's the key is to start before, because a lot of times as humans we don't really put an importance on something unless it's like extreme, like a red flag, a terrible diagnosis or news from the doctor, and then all of a sudden you're working out when it's like, man, you could have been enjoying these benefits for decades from just going to the gym.
Right.
So I think the preventative aspect, like start now before it becomes a problem, is super important, and I think something that hopefully we can get that message across today.
Yeah. Well, spot on. Spot on. Okay, first thing, so how can we reduce stress and anxiety levels, especially with like exercise in general? So what kind of sticks out to you by leveraging activity to reduce, again, stress and anxiety?
Yeah, well, consistency is one. Definitely get a routine, be consistent, and just go be active. For me, weightlifting is huge for my stress levels. It keeps my cortisol and all those stress hormones down, and you feel better instantly. I mean, those endorphins are rocking and rolling as soon as you start doing any kind of resistance training. So for me, that is a huge clarity. Obviously, there's aerobic exercises you can do, cardio. Running, which is always fun, but there's a lot of pounding and running as well. There's other options like elliptical or bike, but I'm definitely a big weightlifting guy. I think most of my ideas, like my creativity, I don't know if you're like this, Cody, but my clarity and creativity when I'm lifting weights is like skyrocketing. Like I'll even have my phone where I'm constantly going to notes, and I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. Jump it.
Right.
Just because you're kind of working on all cylinders. So I mean, imagine creating that habit every day and having that experience every day. You're naturally going to
Yeah.
be clearer, have more mental health. Everything is going to be better
Yeah.
instantly.
That's why it is great. I think that's why it's great for a lot of people. And obviously timing is hard for a lot of people to get it in, but man, if you can have a schedule where you can get it out in the morning, you talking about getting a jump on the day is so clutch. But again, some people can't.
It
Like
is.
they start way too early. Like now, shoot, I'm training it at like what I have to get, yeah, I'm like up by 5 a.m., so I have to be working out at 4 if I got it in, beforehand. But that's okay. I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, I've actually did a podcast before about leveraging different types of activity for our mental health. But and thinking through, yeah, like stress, anxiety, I definitely think resistance training, weight training, any kind of capacity is it's something about it. You feel a lot more empowered by doing it. It
Sure.
brings down, you can feel kind of that you're literally working out the tension in your body. So that's another thing. So you have so much of this that's built up, you're trying to almost extract, and a lot of clarity can come from it. I think for me, when I'm hitting these walls of I'm trying to bust through, or it just feels like stuff keeps piling on, I think weight training is definitely huge. If I get to the point to where my clarity of thinking, just it's almost like everything is so overlapped and I can't get things to kind of fall in place mentally. I think that's
Right.
where
Trying to
aerobic,
compartmentalize.
right. I think that's where
Yeah.
aerobic really can help me when it comes to walking, running, elliptical stuff, just having kind of a steady state and allow my body to work when my mind kind of starts to settle in. And
I like the state. I think that's probably that's a good phrase to use. And you do feel that when you're on, say elliptical or bike or whatever for maybe 30 minutes, whatever it is, that sort of almost release of that anxiety and that clarity that's coming through. But it's yeah, it's an incredible benefit that you really hope more people would end up taking advantage of.
I would say too, a lot of people do ask, um, kind of where to start. I think some people will come in and try to be so regimented in the beginning when they try to take back over. And it's like, all right, I've got to lift for 30, 45 minutes. I got to do cardio for 20, 30 minutes. And a lot of
Yeah,
times my recommendation is it's kind of like the path of least resistance. Like if you're naturally more inclined to do aerobic or cardio or whatnot, like if that's just how, start there. Like it's fine. It's okay to start. Yeah, just because what we're saying, we have
yep,
certain avenues, but just let it compound. I think it's such a big thing. Just that all or nothing. It's like I'm not going to get any benefits if I don't crush this very specific, routine that somebody, posted on Instagram, last week. It's like your body is a lot more complex, and your body will take care of itself, and your mind will take. I mean, we're wired a specific way, so and we're wired for movement and activity.
we are.
It's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. I think definitely the information age is kind of a little bit about what you're talking about is almost overload, and I think people start researching all kind of stuff when they're about to start, and it's just a little too much for them. It's overkill for information, and they don't know how to. I mean, information is good, but you have to know how to digest that information, relate it to yourself, and then put that into action. So that can be a lot in the beginning, which is why a personal trainer is so beneficial.
Yeah.
They can help you take you through those initial steps.
Right. And then I always tell people when they reach out to us, it's like sometimes you might work with us for a few weeks just to really get that booster, and that's totally fine. Anything we can do to get you going,
Yeah,
use us, and we're always here. We genuinely want to help because that's our that's our purpose. I think people forget that sometimes. I think there are people out there that just do it from a vanity standpoint, but ours is like we are servant hearted by nature, and we are trying to help. And
yeah, we are.
please let us help.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, for sure.
yeah. So I think expanding a little bit from the physical activity side of things. There's other ways when it comes to stress and anxiety. I think something that I have tried to pepper in personally, and not everybody wants to do these when it comes to like I'm trying to do like more of like 10 to 15 minutes of yoga in the mornings, not from like a traditional meditative state.
Yeah,
But it's an activity it's you don't have to go anywhere. All you need is a little bit of space and in the living room or wherever.
It's very accessible.
Right, and have a sense of purpose of flexibility and mobility, and your body will respond. But some people like the meditation side of things, and I use an app called Calm, which is nice for a meditative kind of standpoint. But outside of activity, anything stick out to you that you like from a just trying to calm down
Yeah, I
stress?
definitely like the meditative aspect of things, and it can be. It doesn't again. Not it doesn't have to be overcomplicating. It's simply just getting away for 10 to 15 minutes, like you said, in a room or wherever. Get away from your phone, close your eyes, practice breathing techniques just to calm the nerves, relax the mind. I think just a little bit of that every day would go so far. It's I wish more people again would take advantage of that as well. I mean, we do a lot of things. We like to take supplements. We like to take this medication for relaxing and things like that. And there's some validity to that. But I think just such a simple way to escape 10 minutes, lock yourself in a room, relax, breathe can be so beneficial. I definitely try to do that daily, and I recommend it's huge. It's a big deal to turn the world off for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you'll have some that will kind of push back, not push back, but a lot of us will promote things of like, and we do recommend this, especially for very driven people from um, what do they call it? Trying to think, like visualization, like just trying to imagine yourself, what you're wanting
Hmm.
to achieve. And that is, I think that is important to success. But when it comes to, I think, stress relief and anxiety, I think sometimes that can almost be throwing like gas on the fire if you're under a lot of pressure, because then you get in your head of like almost
It could
fixing
be
where you should be versus like
right.
trying to quiet your brain, because my brain is never quiet, and I know yours is never quiet either. So,
Always running.
yeah.
We're redlining. Always full speed. Yeah, for sure.
Um, and then
I know that is.
I think another thing I had was like just hobbies. I know it's kind of it's such a foundational basic thing. It's something I struggle with when I do like my daily tasks and stuff like that. And it's rare that I have hobbies, but I'm getting a lot better about it's okay. Like your body has the capacity to be able to do
They're
multiple things.
fun.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, for sure.
So any kind of fun hobby. Um,
Yeah, I'm a big. I like pickleball. Big pickleball guy. I don't know if I'm any good at pickleball, but I'm competitive. You can ask my wife. I don't take it easy on her, but I do like pickleball a lot. It's a fun activity. But yeah, any hobby, you're obviously gonna be more inclined to do it on a consistent basis because you're having a good time doing it. So if
right.
you can have some physical benefits, some mental benefits, that's a no brainer.
Yeah.
Especially doing it with a partner or a friend. Those are all aspects again of mental health. Building a community. This it's hobbies are definitely a way to go for that.
I think you're spot on. I think it's a great segue too, because our next kind of area was like mood, trying to alleviate symptoms of depression, but also trying to improve mood. I think, I know I have a tendency of reaching burnout a couple of times a year, or just, it's like you just hit this wall of, what am I
Yeah,
doing? Or just things get tough, and it just gets, yeah, you just kind of get in this rut. And I think this is harder. I think it's even harder to make yourself move when you're in kind of like a low mood capacity versus like stress and anxiety. At least a lot of times
yeah,
your anxiety, everything's like enhanced. So it's like, oh, I need to go work this out. But if you're in a rut,
right.
it's the last thing you want to do, which is why I think it's important that we talk about it. But what have you found works for you
Yeah.
to kind of bust out of those low points, I guess, or low mood points?
For me, if I'm feeling low, whether it's low energy or just overwhelmed or burned out or whatever it is, for me it's pretty straightforward. I'm probably gonna have the same answer for a lot of things, but it's resistance training. I mean, when I go to the gym, I'm naturally gonna feel better, feel more uplifted. I know what you mean though, as far as like it is a different feeling to be sort of anxious, just kind of like almost a high strung anxiety feeling versus that low energy, low maybe a little depressed, kind of a depression almost kind of feeling. Um, but I know that can be tough, tough to do. But again, that gets me out of pretty much most of my funks is weight training. I don't know about you. I don't know if you have anything specific that you like to do, but I always I prescribe weight training for everything, Cody.
Yeah.
Basically.
It makes sense. I mean, we have lean muscle mass. We're supposed to be able to lift things in a certain
Yeah,
capacity. I do think, it depends for me that I tend to try to get outside more. I actually had it in our notes here about nature stuff. Not necessarily, you don't have to be like a crazy, like an intense high,
yeah,
whatever. But I think there's two ways of kind of busting through the activity. Obviously, yeah, you can go work out. As soon as you start getting a pump on or whatever, like you feel motivated again, you feel energized again, you feel like
that's right.
there's just a sense of, yeah, your body just reacts of like
Yeah,
in a certain way. But I think for me, I'll try to
so
get,
well-being, instant feeling of well-being.
or if I do resistance training, I'll do it outside, or I'll try to find a group. So I think overcoming really low mood and depression, or at least fighting against that, I think nature and other people sometimes can really help you get out of that funk. Sometimes we have a tendency, and you may disagree, some people may disagree, but that's just my thinking in real time. Is there so many times when we're in a low point, we don't want to be around people. It's like I don't have time. I don't really. I just want to kind of be by
We
myself.
isolate.
We isolate, and it's like
We
we're
isolate
we're
always.
also we're also social beings. So it's like one, you go out in nature, you start to feel this connection of how we're wired. I mean, we're natural building beings. Like God created all of us, all these things around us,
Yeah,
and so phenomenal. But then when you
yeah,
get around others, they will naturally just lift you up in most cases. They won't, because especially people you care about, like they want you to be in a good capacity and get joy back in your life. I think I actually
yeah,
have a pickleball on here for you specifically.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's right. Yeah, I mean, and also when you're around someone else and around other people, they're naturally gonna, you're probably gonna tell them if you're feeling low
Right.
or you're not feeling good, and that's naturally gonna sort of build, that community, that feeling of okay, I have people around me that care about me, so which will naturally, lift your spirits a little bit. But definitely the hiking, the beach, going to the beach, being out in the sun. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the beach. I spend a lot of time in the South Florida area going to the beach.
Mhm.
It's awesome. I mean, you feel amazing being out there. Like you said, connected to nature, being in the ocean,
Yep.
just being out in the sun. Vitamin D, right? I mean, it's huge. I think actually vitamin D is a really big mood enhancer. I think too, like even if you seek counseling or therapy or anything like that, like from a mental standpoint, I think one of the first things they do is make sure that your vitamin D levels are
Yeah.
on par. Because if they're not, that's like a no brainer. Like, okay, take a vitamin D supplement or go
Right.
stand out in the front yard or naturally get some vitamin D. But you definitely will feel better being outside for sure.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. Actually, years ago, I was somebody brought that to my attention about vitamin D, especially in the colder months. When there's less opportunity for us to be out inside of the sun.
Yeah,
And I actually take it. I think colder months I'll take vitamin D on a daily basis, but then the warmer and the more sun exposure I'll get, then I'll alternate kind of the days that I take vitamin D. But it is a
yeah,
very important component to mood. I'm glad you brought
it
that up.
is. Yeah, I take it year round. I take vitamin D. Yeah, yeah. It's
Right.
definitely a good thing.
Right. No, let's see. Spot on. Oh, another thing I was thinking about. So I actually included in like we talked about meditations earlier. Like that was more of kind of like trying to calm down. But
Mhm.
there are things out there, and I didn't realize this until a couple years ago. There's such things as like what's called walking meditations. And you can find them like on Spotify. You can find they're actually it's like guided walking meditations, and it's made for you while you're actually out hiking or you're out walking. So you don't have to be closed off in a room. You can actually be actively moving
Right.
and kind of it's interesting because when you do it, it's something about the movement plus the deep thinking starts to kind of identify. Like you'll start to feel a lot more of your gratitude comes back. I mean, just the fact that you have the ability to actually just get out and walk for a lot of us is a huge blessing compared to what
It
some people
is.
struggle with. So it's like those
It's a privilege.
layers, those little layers of um, yeah, anyway, feel free to expand on that, but it's crazy how that can enhance your mood quickly.
It is. I mean, I think that whoever started that is pretty smart because I mean, you're bringing a lot of different components together in one. You bring the meditation component all the way to the community component, all the way to the nature. I mean, he's got whoever created this kind of has all of them all in one. So I think you're definitely going to feel better. And like you said, you have that those feelings of gratitude that'll start to come, being that you are able to walk and be around people, and those are all great things. So I think that's really smart to add all that in there. I mean, you could even probably do that just to go one step further in the gym. I think a lot of times people will listen to really loud music, or they're on their phone every 5 seconds when they're in the gym.
Right.
You can use that sort of I guess being present. You can almost use that being present, or being just almost sort of meditative in a way, being present. So you can use that with your time in the gym as well, whether it's weightlifting or whatever, and really kind of honing in on, okay, I'm touching the bar, I'm lifting, my feet are on the ground. Let me feel my feet on the ground. Let me feel how this weight feels. Let me feel my breath, and really being sort of present and intentional on every little aspect of what you're doing. And I think that in itself is enormous. So I think you can take that sort of meditative state probably to every aspect, of your mental well-being.
And you're literally simplifying it. Like you're getting back down to the basic foundational principles of life, and I think that is a key to a lot of things
Yeah,
when you're trying to find balance and center. And we go from anxiety high to depression low, and then how do you find an equilibrium? And when you
yeah,
get simplified, don't overcomplicate it. Just sit there and take some time to say what makes the most sense to me, as far as movement or activity, and just go and do it. Just start it. There don't have to be a
yeah,
perfect, it's not a
sure.
there's literally not a perfect method for this because everybody's wired differently.
There's not. Yeah, even experts that know they know a lot about this, they're still learning, they're still growing. And some information out there will work really well for you. Might not, everybody's bodies are a little different, their minds are a little different.
Yeah.
So I think just starting is really key. Do something, go out for a walk, anything.
Yeah. And if you need help, just reach out to a friend. Ask them to go. Call a neighbor. It doesn't matter. We're just going to knock on the neighbor's door. Just show up. And just say,
Yeah,
hey, walk in.
call HOMEFIT.
Yeah, I'll walk with you. I don't care. Um, I've
Yeah,
walked with a lot of people. Sometimes you just need to go for a good walk. Well, cool. And so
it's helpful.
we were talking about, everybody's mental, mentally we're in different phases, and everybody kind of reacts differently to life and going through a lot of different things. But I think one of our other points was really, how can we enhance like our cognitive function and our mental clarity? So we've talked about the highs, we've talked about the lows. Now it's a little more about kind of performance. And I know a lot of this is going to come from, I think this is probably a good segment where we can say, you don't have to go gangbusters on this. Like this is something where you could get your sleep under control, get your hydration under control, and then get your movement under control. And that's where you start to see improvement. But I mean, where do you want to start on this one when it comes to cognitive
Yeah,
function and mental
yeah,
clarity?
yeah, for sure. I think you say talking about sleep. I mean, we all know the benefits of sleep. We've all been there where maybe we're in college and we're taking some finals and we're having to really go burn the midnight oil, as they say, or working a couple jobs or starting a business, whatever aspect you might be in or stage of life. We've all had those moments where we're not sleeping, and that your cognitive ability is hugely diminished, declines instantly. I mean, you can't remember anything. You can't figure anything out. I probably would fail a fourth grade math test, if I didn't sleep for 3 days.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I would say anything that's practical is probably where you need to start
Right.
in general in life. All the practical items, because these things they've been proven to work. They're scientific. There have been tons of research on them. Everyone knows that if you sleep well, you're going to feel better. So
Right.
getting a good night's sleep, staying hydrated, making sure you get enough water, staying away from drinks that are full of sugar. Anything with sugar or over caffeinated, man, your mood is gonna go all over the place. You're just constantly gonna be
Yeah.
up and down. And so I think start practical, sleep, staying hydrated, and start somewhere. Go work out, go to a gym, like you said, even going for a walk, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Do the things that we know work. Start simple.
Right. So let's kick in a little bit deeper as far as like memory, concentration,
Yeah.
the neuroplasticity
Okay.
part. And this is probably gonna be a little more come from a little more exercise component, but go ahead and jump into that part if you want.
Yeah. So yeah, for definitely, I know for me, I'm a lot sharper. Like I said, when I get into the gym, um, you can really tell your mind sort of, I don't know if it's like kicking in another gear almost. You become a lot sharper. You're really able to, I don't know. I always feel like a superhero when I'm in the gym, working out, and feel like I have an extra ability. But there's tons of benefits there. Even like your endorphins, you can tell your endorphins level and your hormone level. I don't know what's the other stress level. Cody, is cortisol. What else is there? In there two of them? I can't remember right offhand.
Trying to think what you're talking. You're not talking about. I don't know. Not sure what you're talking
I
about.
think it might be just cortisol, but I know that's like one that. Well, cortisol. I know when it raises, it's terrible for you hold weight. I mean, it's just not a good. Not good at all. We want to keep cortisol at bay for sure, as much as possible.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's things. I mean, hormones are important. That's probably a whole nother. I probably need to get Destin on here for a
They
podcast
are.
specific about hormones, because cortisol is just one in general. But you get deeper into like estrogen and testosterone
Bad.
for everybody, and how those can get off.
Yeah.
I'm glad, yeah, I'm glad we're talking about this because that is another big avenue we need to talk about. I think that not necessarily today, but I
It's
mean,
huge.
a lot of people don't realize all these things, that these primary topics that we're talking about really does come down to hormone imbalance, and that's because lack of activity, intake is incorrect as far as like food or sugar, caffeine, sleep is off, hydration is
Yeah.
off. Even protein intake, you hear a lot more trainers now that really try to push protein. You've heard protein for years and years and years. In the past, it was more of just
Oh
like
yeah.
building
Always.
muscle. Now it's the fact that it's one of your biggest building blocks. I mean, you have to have protein and amino acids, and but it helps you to
Yep.
regulate your um,
It does.
hormones. So anyway,
It does. Helps with recovery. Yeah. Hormone levels, stability in general. Yeah. Protein is huge for that for sure.
yeah, but I think coming back to the exercise component, I think that's what happens is it really helps to increase more of your positive kind of hormone responses, which is incredible and what you need to get back to it. Yeah, there are times that I'll jump into a workout, and you can tell, some people can tell when I'm working out because I'll just be blowing them up with text messages and new ideas and fresh ideas, and it's funny because it's like I almost don't
Yeah.
want. It's almost like I don't want to quit. Like I'm like, I would love to be in this capacity all day long, but I know in about 30 minutes to an hour, I'm not going to be at this peak again. So I just, but then I'll burn myself out. So
Sure.
I'll just get exhausted because I'm like, oh no, get this out of my head because I'm thinking so clearly right now and so amped
Yeah.
up. Pretty funny. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. I definitely have the same thing when I'm in the gym. My clarity level and creativity is, man, it's off the charts. Like I said, I'll be texting people or have a whole paragraph in my notes on my phone on the notes app
Yeah.
of just ideas, or yeah, you're running on all cylinders. I mean, you feel great. It's definitely a special place to be. Yeah, I wish it could last forever as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think something else I learned, I think last year
Yeah.
in a little closer attention to um, my circadian rhythm, that was something I think was important to be aware of. A lot of us don't realize, when it comes to like sleep cycles and things like that, but we do. I mean, we all do have like peaks and valleys when it comes to performance, as far as like when
Hmm.
our brains are going to be the most productive. And sometimes we're kind of in denial. Sometimes we're like, oh, I'm a night owl in the early morning, and those are just behavioral. But if you actually monitor it, I can't remember the name of the app. There was an app that I used for several weeks, and it actually was tracking. It would tell me, it would notify me. And you've seen this happen to me. If it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I mean,
Oh yeah.
I'm just staring at a wall. And so it's like, if you
Yeah.
have awareness,
We've had 3 o'clock meetings.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's terrible. Like right now, 10 to 12 is like my peak. And then later in the evening, it's that way.
Yeah. We're in
I
the
think
zone.
that's something to consider too, if you want to get really nerdy about it, is when those off points are lower, that's, if you can work it in, that's usually the better part of the time when to work out or do your activity, as to those low points to be able to
I agree.
pick those back up. Now, if you're a runner,
Right. Yeah. Utilize that time.
go ahead. Go ahead. There you go.
Go ahead. Well, I was going to say that's spot on. Yeah. Utilize that. I think it's almost human nature to want to get it out the way. But if you're awesome in the morning already and your mental clarity is at a high peak in the morning already, why work out? Maybe it's better to do it at 3 o'clock when Cody's staring at a wall,
Yeah.
trying to get it together. That's the time to work out to maximize your performance throughout the day. So I think that's a great point, Cody. Great point.
Yeah, I think that's why I liked working out at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon before, because it was like I've just reached this max point. And I do know a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs that have the actual capacity to do that. And if they're prime between 7 to 9, they'll hammer out so much of their work activity, then go work out from 9 to 10, 10 to 11. And not everybody has that freedom,
Yep.
but I think awareness in general is important.
Sure.
Know kind of where those things
It
are.
is. Yeah. Are they after lunch? A lot of times when you might be great until lunchtime, but then you eat lunch, you get kind of sluggish,
Right.
and your energy just goes down. So having a good workout maybe after lunch, kind of like what you're saying, early in the afternoon, it kind of gets you going for the rest of the day and keeps you at max production.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, so obviously exercise activity has a lot of that. I mentioned earlier about me for cardio and stuff like that helps me to gain, really kind of get everything aligned in my head when it gets a little bit cluttered because there's always something going on. There's other things like brain training. There's apps
Yeah.
out there that you can brain train. There's games you can play, things like that. I know sometimes it'll feel like a waste of time for some of us, but it is important, I think, to try to maintain
Yeah.
cognitive function and intentional. Yeah. Kind of
It keeps you sharp. Yeah. It keeps you sharp. It keeps you engaged.
Yeah. And then like we're back to I'm using Duolingo right now when it comes to like, just getting back deeper in
Mm.
Spanish, Spanish or things like that. But sometimes that's another thing that could be, a hobby. For other people, it could be something that pairs with cognitive improvement. Like sometimes I'll try to play piano,
Sure.
that will force my brain to operate differently than just to be reactive. So just a few things off the cuff.
It is. And then to get you out it gets you out of your comfort zone. It's a new skill, keeps you sharp. I mean, even like dancing is huge.
Yeah.
Like if you took dancing lessons or learned a new type of dance, I mean, that would be something that would instantly encompass everything that we've been talking about this entire podcast, which is, the mental cognitive ability would automatically go up because you're learning new movements.
Right.
Physically, you'd feel amazing. You'd build community, right off the bat. So I mean, even something it might sound silly, but even that would be very beneficial for your health overall.
Right.
Period.
I love that. I love that you brought up dance. It's actually something my wife and I used to do a good bit when we first started dating. We got to get back to that part.
I'm a terrible dancer, but I used to live in Colombia where there are amazing dancers,
Yeah,
and I still can't dance.
I had a feeling that's probably where it prompted from with your time in Colombia on that regard.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, all my buddies can dance there, and I'm like, well, I have no rhythm, unfortunately.
Yeah,
But maybe one day I'll pick it up.
right. It is funny how the Bible says things about like, joyful noise when singing, but I can't remember if there's anything about joyful dancing. But I don't guess there's probably less judgment when it comes to when it comes to movement like that.
To dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah, the noise is less forgiving, but the dancing, yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, our other topic, kind of point, and this is probably we can kind of bleed these in over because we were talking a little bit about like sleep quality and things earlier. Um, you know,
Mhm.
you're right. I think this is true for a lot of people when it comes to, how does exercise help you regulate sleep? Like, how do you feel like that's been able to impact you by doing that?
Improve. Yeah, sleeping. Like, how does it improve my function throughout the day?
Yeah, as far as how does exercise, your actual physical activity, how have you seen that affect your sleep quality?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I definitely feel like if I work out, I sleep better. I don't know if that why that is, but I definitely feel like it's connected. It feel like it improves everything. So I definitely feel like if I don't work out, I can usually find that I won't sleep as well for whatever reason. Like I said, I'm sure there is a scientific answer for that. But yeah, whenever I work out and have that physical activity and that engagement throughout the day, and it doesn't have to be weightlifting; it could be anything. It could have been just
Yeah.
going for a walk and getting outside, whatever it is. I definitely feel like it puts me in a better state for at that night to sleep better, for sure.
No,
a lot
that's
deeper sleep for sure.
yeah. To your point, I think the later afternoon, evening walking, I think can be very beneficial for this. It don't have to be intense walking, like if you don't
Yeah,
want to do it, but when you can get out and do any type of cardio, because sometimes
no,
if you go really intense in the evenings, it can flip everything back on. I know some people that will struggle to go to sleep because now they're like so, enhanced and amped up
you're
and juices are.
wired.
But yeah, but I do know plenty of people that they'll go out and spouses will go out and walk and, um, maybe
Mhm.
before they've eaten, after they've eaten dinner. So it helps digestion there. It also helps kind of with the calm down. You're probably, hopefully,
Yeah,
living on your phone while you're walking the whole time. So it just gets that separation and really helps with kind of like an evening shutdown routine, which is something that I was going to kind of speak on as well. But, yeah, do you and Trish, y'all probably go walking all the time when you
yeah,
travel, sure, but even at
yeah. We
home.
do. Yeah, we have a. It's kind of like when you do a cool down stretch after you work out or with a client. It's kind of the same thing, but with your day. It's kind of a wind down for the day. So I think it's something that we do in the neighborhood all the time. We walk in the afternoons. Um, and it's good because you're probably eating dinner at some point. So to go for a walk after you eat dinner is probably a lot better than sitting down or being on the couch or whatever. So
Right.
there's a lot of benefits there, but I definitely think it's kind of a nice way to end the day.
Yeah. Well, walking, talking too, I think is key. It's another way just to just be talking about life in general and with your partner or friend or whoever, going about that way.
Hmm.
Another thing that I've
Yeah,
learned, it's kind of that evening shutdown when it comes to enhancing your sleep is try to be intentional about, an hour or two before going to sleep to try and just really decrease as many stimulants as possible. Obviously, the phone is the hardest for most people, for a lot of people.
yeah,
But I even have like my lights in our house still like at 8:30, one of the lamps. Actually, I think 8 o'clock, both lamps will dim. Like 8:30, one will shut off. So it's like I've even got my house programmed to help us start to kind of
yeah.
get into a quieter routine before we go to sleep, and it helps, I think, a lot.
That's nice. It is. It's like little nudges, little moments there. Okay, we're winding down here. It's time to relax.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the phone is huge. Like you said, I think a lot of people are on their phones and they're watching a lot of things that are just keep the stimuli going and going and going and watching TikTok or watching whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's just overkill. And then they put it down and they try to go to sleep. And I don't know why I'm not sleeping. It's
Yeah.
like, I mean, it's not going to work out very well if you're watching all this stuff.
Yeah,
But we read books. We read books
that's
at night. So
that's literally what I was gonna say. I think when you can switch to actual like paper reading is actually what I have down here. Like when you do that, it's just something
yeah,
about it. Your brain it'll shift different, or you don't have this overstimulant. Like you're basically cutting out all these layers
for
and getting
sure.
back to a very foundational thing, that we can do, and that helps to cut
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
it does. We've been doing that for a long time. Reading paper books, like you said, sounds silly to even say nowadays, but
Yeah.
yeah, we read books. I think it definitely puts you in a good state to relax. And even just having a time where you don't have TV in general. Like we don't watch much TV at all. So in our house, we normally have sort of like relaxing music going on the TV, like low relaxing music throughout the day. And I kind of feel like it just puts me in a good clarity state. So I think those are all very good, mental boosts throughout your day.
That's a great. I mean, I like that point too, as far as having be intentional about the music that's in the background. There's a lot of
Yeah,
therapy from that point. Let's
yeah,
see.
there is. It's huge.
All right, last point. We're going pretty long, which is fine. I figured we'd probably be 45 minutes to an hour for us on
We're
this.
having too much fun, Cody.
Oh
Too
yeah,
much fun.
well, we like talking, so it's just, and we like helping. Okay, last one, and then we did have a couple things that I did want to kind of pull in to wrap it up in a minute. But the last one we had was about boosting your self-esteem and your confidence. So I think this is probably our favorite when it comes to exercise and weight training.
Yes.
But let's see, what do we got here? Yeah, do you want to expound on that a little bit more as far as like leveraging working out to help build your self-confidence and
Oh,
self-esteem? Yeah.
it's everything. It's everything. I mean, you become so much more capable as a human being when you are lifting weights and working out regularly. I mean, I don't know if I would have accomplished all the things I've accomplished without being in good shape. Without the confidence and the self-esteem that I've, has improved because of my weightlifting routine. I mean, I don't even know if I'd be married to the wife I'm married to if I wouldn't, have had the confidence, from weightlifting,
Yeah.
which is huge. I mean, even in another weird example, but I was living in Colombia for a while as a missionary and got offered to play football. I mean, I could not have done that if I had not already been working out and been in good shape. I mean, that transition would have never happened. I would have
Yeah.
got destroyed, especially not knowing how to play football. But I was able to make that leap instantly because I was already in shape. I was already had the capability from working out. I already had the self-esteem from working out. I already had the confidence from working out. Say, okay, I'm already in good shape. Let's do this. So I think it's huge. I think it's everything. It's definitely been a game changer for me, and just my overall confidence and self-esteem and just
Yeah.
feeling like you can accomplish anything. I feel like I can do anything I want. And I think a lot of that comes from that.
No, I think you're spot on. That's why I'm glad we left it to the last point, because I think, the first four is really overcoming, the imbalances of life, or how do we leverage activity to get back into it. But once you do get in that routine of consistent activity, and then, the forward progress, the way it bleeds into everything else, to be able to overcome. Because there's some
It
days you
does.
get there and you're just like, man, you might feel a little bit weaker than normal, or something just seems a little bit harder than normal, but you got to push harder, to
Mhm.
finish that particular set or rep, or whatever, is actually on
Yeah.
the docket for that day. And it is key. It's everything. Like you said, it really is everything. I mean, it comes down to work productivity, relationship. When you're self-confident in yourself, like, you do a better job. I think we all do a better job of how we handle, not just intimate relationships, but even friendships and things like that. Because
Yeah.
you naturally want everybody else to feel the same way. Like, you
You
almost want
do.
everybody else to start overcoming and getting ahead. And then I don't
Right.
know, deals, negotiations, like, it just bleeds into so much other areas of life that everybody deserves to feel that way. And I think it's important.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you're basically maximizing your potential with weightlifting and with just eating good and the whole health and wellness thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a game changer. It has been for me my whole life. So, and I think that's probably a lot of reasons why we're in this business, why we are trainers, is because you want, like you said, you want everybody else to feel like that. So it's like any sort of way you can help them feel like that. It's huge. It's very rewarding as well.
Right. No, hands down. I do think it's key.
Yeah.
So, yeah, improving it, boosting it with exercise is huge. Sometimes
Mhm.
running and things like that can be a bigger challenge. Sometimes when it comes to building confidence, sometimes it is good to kind of switch it up, from time to time. If we know there's something consistent, it's something
It
that's going
is.
to challenge us more. Like, if we're more for more resistance training,
Yeah.
times that we go through bouts of, I'm gonna suffer through this and start running or start cycling or something I almost hate, just to prove a point
Yep.
that I can do it.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing a running challenge right now,
Yeah.
so that's spot on what you just said. I have a goal to run for an hour straight by November. So I've got a running goal. I have a log that is very specific on how I feel. I take a log right after I finish running on what's hurting. Okay, my outside right ankle is sore. What do I need to do to change that? And that's been really cool for me, in my mental health as well, because I'm becoming a little clearer, more capable, more confident, because I'm been crushing this running challenge. I feel like I'm doing really good with it. So yeah,
Oh,
always switching up your goals physically is always good.
yeah. Yeah. Don't get complacent with them as well. So let's say it's somebody that they've got their
Yeah.
workouts and everything under control, but they're still wanting to find other ways to boost self-esteem and their confidence across the board. I had a couple other points here about, aside, again, this is more of a kind of a wellness shift, and this is a good point. Like, if
Mhm.
we're trying to find purpose, or if we're trying to kind of, again, boost and elevate everything, surprisingly, focusing on other people a lot of times can really help, really your self-esteem, because it's like, sometimes we get in our own heads and we kind of get, we're like, we're not good enough, we're not good enough, even though, like, I'm very committed and very confident in my abilities, like I'm not quite there. For some reason, I can't achieve it, and we'll kind of obsess over it. But it's funny. Even Tony Robbins was talking about it recently, and I always say this: if you get to the point where you can start just taking care of other people, whether you're volunteering, whether you're serving other people, whether it's church stuff, doesn't matter. That's something about your self-esteem, because again, we're social creatures and we're not really made to be,
Yeah,
shouldn't be selfish. And when you do that, it's almost, it's an immediate boost because you have an enhanced sense of purpose by taking care of other people.
for sure.
Just something I
Yeah, it
wanted.
also takes the attention
Yeah.
off of you. And you're focusing that on somebody else. Like you said, whether it's just volunteering for a charity, could be anything, or just as being personal trainers and training someone. Having that attention on them the entire time and wanting the best for them in those moments. It's kind of therapeutic in
For
some
us.
weird way for you as well as the trainer.
Yeah. I 100%. That's one thing that I'd missed, when moving up to Tennessee is, Tennessee's Nashville is so spread out that it was harder to train as many people as moving back to Birmingham. And now that I've took on more clients again, it's just, yeah, there's just something about this
It
self-esteem is
is.
continues to build because I'm able to help other people, and it's therapeutic to us, which is great.
Mhm.
Well, cool. All right. So I wrote down a couple last points, and then any saved rounds we want to kind of throw in there, we can definitely do it. Just a couple more minutes. But you made a really good point um, before we started this thing of we give tips, we give advice. I don't know if anything we shared is like overly profound, to the point of like people may already know this information, which is fine. But
And that should be how it is, because it's a lot of stuff is practical.
okay, that was kind of my point. So I was going to ask you, why do you feel, why do we overcomplicate it? Why does it have to be so, what makes it so difficult for people to start moving?
Humans like to do that. We're in general, we like to overcomplicate things. I think that's one. And in this information age, is probably doesn't help it, because it's very easy to overcomplicate things because there's tons of information. This is very accessible from all different angles. And sometimes it's an excuse. We overcomplicate things because we really don't want to do it. So we're like, well, we're really complicated, and then I won't have to start it or whatever. Um, but I think it's just, I don't know why we do that as humans, but we are a very complex bunch for sure. But yeah, it's simple, it's practical. Everything, like you said, everything we just talked about is very easy to do. And I think just starting, if you can just take action and start today, do something. If you drink 20 Mountain Dews, cut that in half today. Today, just do 10. If you haven't worked out at all, go walk around the block. Just start somewhere and build on that. And if you continue to build on that, your confidence is going to grow.
Right.
Your mental clarity is going to grow. You're start to see like, oh man, I'm feeling a little better. I'm losing a little weight. My head's a little better. Feel better throughout my day. Let me cut down my Mountain Dews even into less, or let's walk a little further, or let's add a couple of resistance routines to the walk, whatever it is. But I think if we can just simplify it as much as possible, it would be such a huge advantage for us. And it's preventative as well. I would hate for someone, or hate to hear when someone starts working out, but it was because of some like terrible news,
Right.
something really bad from a doctor. It's so unfortunate because it doesn't have to be like that. And I think most illnesses that we get, especially in America, a lot of them are, derived from, poor diet, or poor, not working out sort of thing. It leads to just so much. So we can just start simple would be huge, very beneficial.
Well,
Don't
I think
complicate it. Simple as
right.
that.
It's so true. You think about like generations before, like you think about your grandparents, your great grandparents. You're always going to know somebody that was like active, lived for a long time, and it was just they didn't overcomplicate it. It's just it became their regimented at
No,
post dinner. They'd go walk, or it just I don't know. You probably have a good example on that one, but I just think of a few in
stay
my
active.
yeah.
Yeah, just staying active in general, I think is huge. When I lived overseas, a lot of people may not have worked out, depending on who they were, but this
Yeah.
group of people, specifically being Colombia, they were very active.
Yeah.
They were always moving. They were always walking. And their food they ate was real food. None of them were on diets. It wasn't like they were eating no carb, anything like that. It was just real food. They kept moving. They kept active, And I think just that is just, it goes a long way just to be active.
I mean, that's a great
You know,
point. I do think that
sedentary is never good, never beneficial.
I do think that's the missing component. Now that we're talking through it in real life, I think we approach health and fitness and wellness as trying to fix something, like we're broken, versus like if you just focus on the ability to, as active living, which is why I think you and I both like a lot of Latin cultures, because it is, in general, they're just naturally
Yeah,
more, they're actively living. The things they do, the where they walk, the group, the things that they do
they
together,
are.
dancing, there's reasons that they're using their bodies because it's a full circle thing that,
It is.
yeah, it's just, I don't know. You definitely hit the nail on the head, I think, in that regard. And that's something that, yeah, moving forward, I think we need to do a better job of promoting active living a lot more so than just trying to let exercise be a fix. Why does it have to be, you know,
Right.
it's a medicinal after the fact thing when your body is made to, anyway, sorry, I just
Made a
excited.
move. Go
Yeah,
move it. Go move it somewhere. Whether you're
right.
hiking, you're dancing, you're playing pickleball, or doesn't really matter. Just if you do that consistently, you're going to feel so much better.
So much better. Your body will take care of itself. There's so many, we could get really deep when it comes to protective factors that just with the active moving, active living, like there's a reason. Um,
Mhm.
promote it. Okay, last question, then if there's anything else we want to cover, but you made a really good point. In this day and age, most people have so much access to information that we overcomplicate it, it's overwhelming. But you also made a good point about
Yeah.
people don't usually ask the right questions. So what did you mean by that when you felt like when it came to getting healthier, why? Yeah. What do you mean by that when you said that?
About them looking maybe for the wrong answers, or what do
Well,
you
yeah, I
mean
know
specifically?
you said earlier that you feel like people they don't tend to ask the right questions when it comes to working out. And maybe
Mm,
it is an overlap of the overcomplication, but um yeah.
yeah, I don't know why that is specifically, but they do seem to be very concerned about very detail or specific oriented things within
Right.
in training or
Yeah.
within diet. Like uh, you'll hear people say that they like well, they might I think fruit is bad for you because fruit's got some sugar in it, or
Yeah.
they get really caught up on all these little details.
Right.
And it's the same with weightlifting or working out in general. It's like, when is a good time to do cardio? Is it something maybe we should do before we work out or after we lift weights or whatever it is? And they're really, really, I don't know why this is, but there's all these specifics that they feel like A, they need to know, and then B, they need to know before they start.
Yeah.
And I don't know where that comes from. Just go. Trust me. If you do cardio every day before or after you lift weights consistently, you're going to get results regardless. And fruit's not bad for you. Please eat fruit. Fruit's awesome. Yeah.
Well, you're spot on.
Um,
It's
see,
everything.
I think too in general. Well,
Well,
go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah. Because I mean, even thinking about, you know, even thinking about sleep. People are so hung up on melatonin. I need to take melatonin. Oh, I got to how much melatonin should I take? It's just like if you actually cover your windows so it's dark, like as dark as possible, your body will generate more melatonin. If you cut your screen time off, you'll be able to sleep and hit
Yeah,
the cycles that you're supposed to overnight, which will in return
it is.
in the right melatonin level. It's like yeah, this is something we probably should almost get aggravated about it because it's like they'll ask me, well, what exactly do I need to do to lose weight? Or I need to lose 20 pounds, or do I need to do keto, or do I need to
Mm,
intermittent fasting? And it's like,
right.
if you'd have spent those 2 weeks just actively living versus trying to find the best research article to support it, you'd already be ahead of the
Yeah,
game. Yeah.
you would instantly. And I think that those questions that they want to know about, they probably mean well. I think they mean well. They want to get it right. They want to get it perfect, it's just not necessary. It's not necessary to get it. I don't think you're ever going to get it perfectly right. There's no reason to get it perfectly right. Just start moving. There's tons of research has been done for eons about healthy food, about active living. Just do that. Implement that daily. Be specific. Be consistent. Excuse me, be consistent, and you'll get results.
Yeah. Well, even when it comes to, like I said, nutrition, and people talk about specific types of intake or protein avenues. And I mean, a lot of times it's just you're not eating clean and you have excess fat and you have preservatives in your diet. I think the other thing is we try to outsmart our bodies when our bodies are a lot more advanced than our abilities
Oh
to
yeah,
overcome it. So it's like, let it do the work. That's my biggest thing is choose
yep,
to move, choose to simplify the process and let your body do the rest. Like, why do you have to oversmart it? I mean, or try to outsmart it? And it's pretty wild.
great, yeah, yeah, spot on. All the points you just made. Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, we overcomplicate things in general, but keep it simple and take action, man. Take action.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I know we can get kind of tore up or kind of aggravated, but I think it's because we are so passionate about the fact that we want people to just to live better and to take care of what God's given them, and to try and take care of each other, and just all the things,
Yeah,
all the circle of life things. But I don't know, anything else you want to add to or take away? I mean, I feel like that's some great information. Hopefully somebody will act on it. Hopefully they'll give us some feedback too on things that they do for each topic that we covered. We'd love to kind of
yeah,
hear you guys do, as far as
yeah.
that.
Please.
But yeah, what
Yeah,
anything else?
definitely comment. I know this is.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Nope, you're good. Go.
Yeah, I was just saying. Yeah, definitely. We want to hear feedback from this. So wherever platform this is on, please comment. We want to know what you're doing. And if you have any questions, please ask. We're here to help. I mean, that's what we do. We care. It's not just because we're trainers. It's just we really want to see people take, these. There's some simple steps you can take that would have profound effect on your life. And any way that we can help that, me or Cody, please reach out to us.
Yeah, totally love it. Well, Emery, thanks for your time. Thanks for this topic. I know it's something that you felt like it was important. It's always important, I think, to
Yeah,
cover the topic because we're all in different phases of life. So hopefully somebody hears this and it helps them to overcome whatever might be going on. But yeah, we'll have to do another one soon. And yeah, hope everybody enjoyed it and let us know what we can do moving forward.
yeah. Thanks for having me on, Cody. Yeah, it was a pleasure. Had a blast.
Same here. All right, thanks.